Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cash Call. Unfortunately, we're a little late today. I have an esteemed guest here, Nick, decided to co-host with me because my co-host, Brian, couldn't make it. He's indisposed. I'm not sure what he's doing. I didn't ask. But Nick agreed to join me. I can't believe that Nick actually has 30 free minutes that he's willing to dedicate to us here on Cash Call today. So we should all just say a big thank you to whatever made that happen. So yeah, we had some technical difficulties, but we got it figured out and we're here today. And so it turns out that Nick is an expert at portal leads.
Well, I don't know about expert. I just like portal leads. I like talking about them, and I like scripts about portal leads, and I like converting them.
Nice. Excellent. And I can't wait to talk about that. So that's what we're going to cover today. And Nick, so basically, since you jumped on here, and usually what Brian and I do is we talk about the intention of the type of lead that we're working on. So when we're talking about portal leads, obviously, the intention that we've found working with portal leads is that they aren't necessarily looking for an agent, but they're interested in a property or properties, or in some cases want to get into a property, right? So they're, really far down in the scale of, in that sales funnel, ready to be doing something very quickly. So that intention is pretty high, but again, they're not saying, hey, let me call and find the best agent in town because I want to buy a house through them. They're saying, I saw a pretty house and I want to know more about it, or I want to get into it, right?
That's actually 100% true. They don't really care about us. They have one intention. That intention is to get inside that home. And if you're going to stand in the way, they're going to push you out of the way. So it's really important to know how to convert them the right way, how to give value to them. And, you need to convert them into a client because there's hundreds of other agents in that area that they could call to get into that house. So why are they going to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the intention's really high. They're very convertible because they're ready to do something, but they're not looking to necessarily do something with you. So we'll get into the objections part, right? So there are some pretty common objections they have. But Nick, why don't we first talk about how do you when somebody calls in, a portal lead calls in or inquires, what's your intro? How do you introduce yourself? How do you get into the conversation with them?
Well, so it's very rare that a portal lead actually calls, right? Mostly it's coming in through email, and then we're reaching back out by phone or text or whatever, the best way to get a hold of them. But first of all, you got to respond really fast, within less than 2 minutes, because you got to get them while the iron's hot, while they are still looking on their phone at homes, looking at homes on their phone, and before someone else gets to them. Because chances are, if you're paying for portal leads, they have clicked on a couple different houses, right? So that's why time is of the essence. So when I call them, I just jump right to the chase. I say, hey, this is Nick with Keller Williams. I just got your inquiry about 123 Main Street. When might be a good time for you to see that house? That's the first question. That doesn't mean I don't pre-qualify them any other way, but that's what they want. So start with that question, and that's going to keep them on the hook. All right, awesome. This guy's going to show me the house, right? Any other question he asks me, he already said he's going to show me the house. I'm good. You know what I mean?
Great.
So don't be like, are you pre-approved? Don't get all that. They don't want to go into yes, later, but don't be fluffy, right?
Yeah.
Let them know, listen, you have every intention of showing them that home. So let them know that right off the bat.
Great. And one thing I want to clarify, you said that most of them don't call in, and I just want to clarify portal leads, right? So that would also be Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, or any of the other ones where they're actually inquiring about a property and reaching out to us. So they do call though, right? As well. They call in.
Yeah. So sometimes they will. So like Zillow Concierge, you'll be connected directly, right?
Yeah. Good.
Or, we have an ISA service that we use that will direct connect us if the person says they want to speak to an agent right then and there. Then yes, then it's essentially a call in. But most of the time, it's a showing request.
Got it. Good. Okay, so so that's when they email a showing request in. What if they do call in, or if you get a live transfer from your ISA? Is that the same thing, or are you just saying, hey, When would you like to go see that?
Well, if we get a live transfer from our ISA, Dale just left. He just left. The show's over.
This window. It's lawn mowing. It's lawn mowing season. And
okay, cool. I put it on gallery view now so they can see both of us.
Nice.
Right, so basically, here we go. Basically, so when we get a live transfer from our ISA has collected a little bit of information already. When they want to see the house, how much they can afford, and if they've gotten to that question, are they pre-approved? Do they have a house to sell? Because then when they transfer, they say, Nick, I've got Dale here. He's interested in 123 Main Street. He's pre-approved for up to $300,000, and he'd like to see that house tomorrow at 3:00. I just wanted to connect you with him so you can set that appointment. That's what our ISA essentially does.
Okay, good. So when, very similar to what you do, if somebody inquires about a property or calls in, the only difference that we do typically would be ask them what they'd like to know about the property. So if they call in about 123 Main Street, hey, this is Dale with so-and-so real estate. You called about this property or you're interested in X property. What would you like to know about it, right? They're going to ask you whatever they want to know. How old is the roof, or do you know if there's a condo fee, or whatever they're going to ask you. And then what we'll do to keep them on the phone, because a lot of times they expect that you're going to have the information on that particular listing.
Oh, totally, yeah.
All the time, right? And you're standing in line at the grocery store, or you're waiting to get the new fresh pair of sneakers, right?
Oh my God! Well, I just won't answer. That's the
exactly bad example. So you really don't have that info. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask them, hey, so you want to know, let's say they call in and they're like, hey, is there a condo fee on that property? Got it. So you want to know if there's a condo fee on 123 Main Street. What else would you like to know? Sometimes they might have another question. Sometimes they don't. But what you're going to do is you're going to get all the questions out of them, right? Then once you've done that, now they were waiting like they were like pregnant with these questions, right? They had these questions. They wanted to deliver them. They've now delivered their questions, and now you've just bought yourself a little window of time that you can ask them questions. That's when you can do the who, where, when, why, what, and how much, right? Who are you? What are you doing? When are you doing it? How much do you want to spend? So that's a critical thing to get done. Instead, what I hear a lot of times when we're listening to agents and sometimes ISAs recordings, you hear this, hey, I'd like to know if there's a condo fee on 123 Main Street. And then you hear, okay, hold on 1 second. Ticky-tacky, ticky-tacky. Did you say Main Street? Main Street, right? Ticky-tacky, ticky-tacky, ticky-tacky.
What town?
Yeah, exactly. And so and you're totally wasting all that time, right? When you could be asking them questions.
Yeah.
And when you're in line at the grocery store, you don't get to go ticky-tacky because you can't look it up. So you can't do that. You gotta just move on. You hear that.
Put the phone down. Ma, give me some meatloaf. I'm sorry.
Meatballs.
Excuse me. What city? Ma, where's my protein powder? Anyway, no. So yeah, that's a great example. So like I said before, like we'll ask them when they want to see the home, right? And then I want them to know up front we're going to show it to them. And I'll say, great, tomorrow at 3:00, perfect. We're going to have one of our agents definitely meet you there, and then I'll get into the questions. Like, I want to make sure I set that appointment with them, before. And by the way, if the house for some reason is under contract, obviously we'll let them know that. And I'll say, hey, you know what, I just checked. That house is under contract. We have that appointment in the book for tomorrow at 3:00. There is another house that's similar to it down the street. You want to see that one instead. So that way, like, we have the appointment in the book. I want to do that first and then get to the questions.
Right. But you're only going to tell them that thing is under agreement or not available after you've asked all your questions.
I'm not going to tell them up front. No. You got to get them on the hook.
Because this is the other thing I've heard, right? Oh, what address? Ticket. Oh, that house is sold, right?
Oh, that house is sold. Okay, thanks. Click. Wait.
I want to ask you questions and I want to try to sell you something.
Yeah. So you know what? I just noticed the house looks like it's under contract, so it's not available to be seen. I'm really sorry about that. And then you can explain how it sucks to go on Zillow and Realtor.com, right? Don't ever trust the portals. Use my site instead. This is great. Lots of things can be accomplished in a 5-minute call.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best, man.
Yeah.
So get that out of them, get their questions out of them, set the appointment with them, right? Do your discovery, Then once you've done your discovery, you can give them the bad news that it's not available, whatever it may be. And then, so maybe we should talk about what some of the objections are, right?
No, let's go. Do it.
Here's the one that we hate the most, right? Are you the listing agent? Oh, you're like, shit, man. If you are the listing agent, great, right? So if you're standing in line at the grocery store and you're on a team, you can easily say, possibly, right? Or you can say, I'm not exactly
listings. You could say that depends. Which property is this again? Exactly.
Yeah, and move on from there, right? So you can be vague, you can avoid the question and just not answer. That's probably the best thing to do. If you now, I don't know what your moral compunction is. Me, I don't outright lie about anything.
No, I don't either.
I will avoid as best I can, but I won't outright lie about something. So if you're a solo agent and you have 2 listings and you know that the one they've called about is not one of the 2 listings you have or that they've emailed about, right? You know that you're not the listing agent. Here's some questions that you can ask in order to avoid that, right? So we're not going to make them wrong. We're not going to lie to them, but you can ask them, what's important about speaking to the listing agent? Or what would you like to ask the listing agent, right? What would you like to ask?
That's really good. That's really good.
I didn't say no, and I didn't say yes, but I asked what you'd like to ask the listing agent, right?
That's a very good question. I've actually never thought to pose it that way. Because you're not saying no, but you're just kind of getting around it. You know, are you the listing agent? Well, let me ask you, what would you like to ask them? Because I can find that information out for you.
Exactly. So those people, they don't, sometimes so let's say 50% of the time when they ask if you're the listing agent, they already believe that they're going to get a deal if they speak directly to the listing agent.
Right. They do.
Yeah. The other 50% just either don't know what they're doing or they just want to be able to get information directly and they think that's what they're supposed to do, right? So you can quickly separate the 50-50 right there with that question. Then if we get to the 50% that believe they're going to get a better deal by talking to the listing agent, even if you try to be tricky and you ask, what would you like to ask the listing agent? They're going to redirect you, right? Somebody like me is going to be like, come on, Sally Real Estate, are you the listing agent or are you not, right?
Exactly.
In that case, you're going to have to say, I'm not the listing agent, but what's the advantage to speaking to the listing agent? Instead of speaking to me, I have access to everything.
Yeah, I mean, I usually just say, because a lot of times that happens on Realtor.com, because I just don't think the consumer doesn't understand how Realtor.com or Zillow works in that sense. They just don't, and they shouldn't really understand that, right? They don't understand how agents pay for certain zip codes. I mean, there's nothing worse than having another agent inquire about a listing that goes to you. You know what I mean? That's the worst.
That's the worst.
But when I say, you know what, I'm not the listing agent. However, when I ask them, I'm curious as to why you wanted to contact the listing agent. Oh, well, I want to see if I could get a deal. I'd be like, you know what? That is so logical. I just want to explain to you how this works, though, right? So when a listing agent takes the listing, they sign a contract with the seller, and their job is to get the seller as much money as possible. My job as the buyer agent, now depending on your market, is to get you that house for the best possible price. So I would really love to represent you and work on behalf of you to make you happy and not make the seller happy. Not make the seller happy, but put you first and foremost. Like, my job is to make sure that you get everything you want. Their job is to make sure that they get everything they want.
Yeah, great.
You just got to educate them.
Yeah, absolutely. Another way to do that, another rebuttal that we can give would be, hey, totally makes sense that you want, so both Nick and I are going to approve, right? We're going to make them right because people don't nobody's going to listen to a stranger making them wrong usually. So you make them right. Makes perfect sense that you want to save money. Let me ask you, do you think that you would be able to get the best deal on the house by going through the agent hired by the seller or by an agent like myself that only works for you?
Right.
So we can just do it by questioning also.
Are you going to not get life in prison if you use the attorney hired by the person who you're on trial with? Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the person accusing you of murder, should you use their attorney?
I think that's a great, should
I just go there, Dale?
Well, it depends on the personality type, right? Listen, if you have like a gregarious kind of person, right? Kind of jokey, kind of laughy, but it's like, oh, I really want to talk to the listing agent. You'd be like, hey, do you want to use the stay appointed attorney if you're trying to avoid death row, or do you want to get your own expert in there to save your bacon? Which one do you want?
Also, we forgot to mention the most important thing. Dale and I are matching today.
Yes.
I just want to point that out.
This is awesome. Wait, who wore it better? I want to see in the chat who wore it better. So let's vote, right? It's neck down.
Okay, wait. I got it. If you think Nick wore this shirt better, I want to see a bunch of hearts. If you think Dale wore this better, I want to see a bunch of thumbs up.
Nice.
Go. Everyone go. Nick, hearts, Dale, thumbs up. I'm looking on Facebook.
I think only Ann Baldwin is watching us, so this is kind of a stacked deck here, dude.
One viewer, my wife, saying Dale wore it better. She does like you better. Anyway, so that's great. So let's recap a little bit. So they call in. We talked about first, what do you say when an incoming lead comes in initially? Thumbs up. You got one thumb up from Eleonora.
Woo!
Eleonora, I thought we were cool. Oh man, that makes
Eleonora, you get free gifts from me. Go team.
So anyway, so the call comes in. They want to see a house. How do you keep them on the phone? I usually ask them when they want to see it. I try to set the appointment, and then I ask a few qualifying questions. Dale, do you set the appointment first or ask the qualifying questions first? What do you think is the best way?
We don't go straight to the qualifying questions. What we do instead is, what would you like to know about the property? If they don't immediately ask a question, or if they do ask a question, then he doesn't like undershirts. Thanks, Dutch. I'm gonna hide mine.
Dutch, go talk to my wife. Listen, I dress the way she tells me, so I stay married. You know what? I don't care what you think about me.
Smartest man on the internet. So instead of doing the qualifying questions, we're going to ask them, what would you like to know about the property? Or if they enter the call by asking a question about the property, we repeat it back to them. Oh, you'd like to know this about 123 Main Street. What else would you like to know about that property? So we're going to draw the questions out of them first so that they're done with their questions. I think that, we haven't done your technique of setting the appointment immediately, but we could add it in there right after eliciting their questions. I personally think the most important thing is getting the questions from them that they have, right? Because like I said, they're pregnant, they got a baby, and the baby is a question or questions, and they need that thing out. So let's get that out first and then work on what we want to work on.
Eleanor says mirror their question.
Mirror their question. Great. I'm not sure what that means. How would we mirror that?
You mean mirror because you can mirror their personality or their tone, right? Yeah. Like if someone sounds really enthusiastic, obviously you want to sound enthusiastic as well. I think she's also saying repeat the answers, right? So it sounds like, so they are sure that you're listening. I'm approved for $300,000 and I want a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. Great. You're approved for $300,000. You want a 2-bedroom, 3-bathroom? Great. Like, so that's mirroring, and then mirroring their tone. If they're like, hey, how's it going? You want to be like, what's up? Hey, how are you? You don't want to pull a Tristan. What's up? All the time, right? And I'm like,
I wanted to know what the square footage is. And
yeah, I love square footage. Love it. So yes, you said correct. Mirror their answers so they know that you're listening to them. Great point. And then the objection, are you the listing agent? So you said at first you want to kind of deflect a little bit. What would you like to ask the listing agent? Obviously, people who are smart are going to be like, come on, dude, right? You go, well, listen, let me just explain.
Well, let's not say smart. They're not necessarily smart. They're either asking that for a purpose, or we're gonna smoke them out and they don't have a real purpose behind it. We want to know, right?
Right, gotcha. So then what's another objection that we typically get through portal leads? I love this objection. I'm just looking.
Yes, just looking.
My favorite. Do you want to know what I say to that?
What's that?
Great. What are you looking for? Let me help you narrow it down. It's the best, right? I go into a department store. Hey, can I help you? No, I'm good. 5 minutes later, I go into that same person and ask where the pots and pans are or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because of course I don't know where everything is, but I'm just looking is just a total, like it's just like leave me alone for just this second.
Yeah.
But most people don't inquire about a property if they're just looking. Most people don't, right?
Yeah, they usually have some kind of purpose, right? So another one of those. So you said, what are you looking for? Which is a really common one we use. You can also use, what neighborhoods are you looking in?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Gotcha.
What neighborhoods are you looking in? Right? Pretty simple.
Exactly. What are some other objections that we typically hear?
I think, I have an agent is a big one that comes up. And so we have a couple step process that we take to undo or see if there's an opportunity around I have an agent. And we ask 3 questions, right? The first one is, are you committed to that agent?
Right.
Depending on the answer to that, and the reason we use the word committed, people get really uncomfortable with the word committed, right? That's either like, do you want to get married or not? You're like, oh yeah, maybe we could keep dating for a little while, right? So that one really kind of puts it to them. So are you committed to that agent? And then have you signed anything with that agent? And then if they don't say, for most people out there, if they've signed, we have to leave them alone.
Of course.
But if they haven't, if they're like, no, I really haven't yet, great. So then instead of trying to change their mind or sell them a different direction, we take one step further and ask, what's the benefit to working with that agent, with that particular agent, right? Because we want to understand, what are you buying? I want to understand what you're buying. Like, what do you think is important in an agent? Why do you think that's the right agent? What's special about that agent? What's the advantage there, right? All those are wrapped up in what's the benefit to working with that agent. And those are the things I want to understand.
Another one, when they say they're working with an agent and it's like a family member, right? Now, listen, I'm all about this business being about relationships, but a lot of people work with a family member because they feel obligated to work with a family member, right? And so I typically say, well, let me ask you this, because I completely respect that. Are you working with this family member because they're a great agent, or and then the right person for the job, or just because they're your brother, right?
Yeah.
Because usually I hear, I feel like I need to use this person because they're my brother, right? But when it comes down to it, if you ask them, well, are they the best person for the job? The answer might surprise you.
Yeah, a lot of times it does. They're like, no, it's just my mom would kill me.
Right, exactly. It's like, okay, well, you're buying or selling something of huge financial value. Don't you want like a really great agent on your side helping you through that? Because Joe, who part-times at the barber shop and sells a house every so often, probably isn't, nothing against part-time agents, but it's not what he's doing every day. He isn't like in it all the time, right? And so,
And here's, and Nick, to tail end that, right? This is how you close them out. What you do is you offer to partner with this person. You say, hey, listen, we're one of the top teams or one of the top agents in this area, and we sell X number of homes every year. What if we worked with Joe, your barber, right? We brought him in, we show him how we do this, and he still gets paid on the deal, right?
What if we sent him a 25% referral fee? Would that make him happy?
Exactly. He still gets paid, right? We would be partnering. We say it this, we would partner with Joe, right? He would get a referral fee. He still gets paid, and he gets to work with us. And you get the benefit of working with a top team or dedicated agents that do this 24 hours a day. How does that sound, Nick?
That sounds fantastic, Dale.
He won't hate you, right?
Where do I sign?
Good.
Another objection, and what I've also found from internet leads is they'll tell you, they're always 6 months out. Always 6 months out from buying. Always. If someone's 6 months out, they can buy in 3. And I just go, great. The process can actually take 6 months. So, why don't, and you don't have to call me when you're ready to buy a house.
Right.
You let them know that you're going to be with them throughout the transaction. You're going to have to look at houses. You're going to need to get pre-approved. Sometimes that can take a while. When you find a house you like, and you got to write an offer, then you go into contract. So we're already at month 3 already. Like, we're halfway through it.
Yeah.
So they don't realize how long it takes. And so that's a that's an objection we hear all the time. And I think the objection is typically because they don't understand the time frame, you know?
Yeah. So we call that working their process backwards. Exactly what you just said. Work them backwards in the process. And that's how we set up a logical next step with them. Instead of like, this is the kiss of death. If you get done talking to a lead, you can't get the appointment now, and you get stuck with, can I just call you every month or so to see whether you're ready or not? That's when you know that you just got into the friend zone. You're not getting to second base there, my friend, right?
Tristan and I used to start off our presentations with a picture of a small table, and we would ask, does anyone know what this is? And they're like, oh, a table? A table? A table? One person in the back, it's a nightstand. We're like, yes, that is one night stand. This is not a one night stand. It's a relationship.
That's so funny.
So
that's great.
You know, that's just how we're just quirky like that. Another objection I get is, I don't know, I'm saving up for a down payment, right? Totally saving for a down payment.
Absolutely.
That usually comes from people that don't understand that if they have good credit and a good job, they don't necessarily need a huge down payment. So educate them on that, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're usually confused about that one.
Yeah. So a lot of objections aren't no's. They're just not right nows.
Yeah. It's a lot of not right nows. So with the portals, I think the killers are are you the listing agent, right? I have an agent. And then we're talking about the not ready yet, right? Which is you really just get into their process. When are they looking to move? And what's in the way of them doing it now, right? Is it a lease? Is it waiting for graduation? Is it moving into the area? Is it money? What's in the way? And a lot of times those things can be fixed or gotten around, right? And if you do what Nick said and work their process backwards, you can usually get either a face-to-face with them much sooner, or consider doing video, right? Jump on a Zoom call, jump on a Skype call with them, do something. And you know what? Some of our clients go and meet the people at their apartment, go and meet the people at their house. I mean, that's what other services
with permission.
Right. You don't just show up.
Yeah, that would, yeah. I learned my lesson, Dale.
If you do, just say your name is Nick Baldwin.
Yeah. We don't need to talk about that one.
I'd love to hear how you learned your lesson. That's for another show.
No, I never showed up at anybody's house.
Oh, okay.
It's like I've called you 19 times in the last 3 days. Why are you not answering? I'm following up.
This sounds like me when I was dating in my early 20s.
Listen, if you've gone on a date, you know how following up with internet leads are.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
It really is. You know, why should they work with you, right? That's exactly what it is. So
one thing I want to cover before we end, or did you have something you wanted to talk about?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So one thing I want to cover before we end is what's really important, especially with the portal leads, because their intention is so high, right? They're almost there. They're almost ready to convert. They're almost ready to do something. They're almost ready for an agent. And, arguably they are ready for an agent. So you have to make sure that you shut down the opportunity of those other leads or the other agents that are going to be calling those leads, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, depending on the portal that they come through, that stuff gets resold to other agents and you're competing. And not to mention that, but they call in about 123 Main Street, they get some information. You're like, great, I'll send you some listings and call you. And then you hang up. What do you think they do? They've got 2, 3, 4 Main Street on their list, and they're going to call that agent, or they're going to inquire about that one, right? So then they talk to other Sally Realtor, and that one, if that one's better at converting and shutting the door behind them, you're out, right? So you have to shut that door. So what you do when you're on, you make sure that you tell them, all of them, whether you set an appointment or not, you make sure that you tell them, hey, what you're looking at on Zillow or on Realtor, truly, a lot of that stuff is very dated information. If you come to my website, provided that you have one, and almost every real estate agent with a license today has one, you just say, listen, if you come over to my website, we can set up an account right now. I'm going to send you an introductory email. You can search without being bothered. Nobody else is going to call you. And it's all immediately up to date directly from the MLS, which has all the properties that are on the market. And in fact, we have a few listings that you're not going to find on the internet, and I'd really like to discuss those with you. So, by the way, we're going to get you set up. Do you have any other properties on your list that you're interested in, or anything else that you wanted to see? And just solicit any kind of answer from them. Great. And if you happen to find anything else out there, if you happen to find yourself on another website or something if you find something in your Facebook feed, all you have to do is just get the address or get the MLS number, email it over to me, and I'll get you all the details on it without you being bothered by another salesperson.
It's great because people, there's numerous times where, I've reached out and they have already been contacted, 3 or 4 times. And it's just a great way to give them that service and that added value, as opposed to just trying to get them, trying to sell them on you. Give them a reason why they should get off the portals. If you have an app, send it to them. If you have a website, make sure they're on it. And that's great. It's like, listen, I'm sure that's really annoying. Solve that problem. Anyone who solves the problem gets the business. So solve that problem for them. And,
you can either, you can also use some, it's just rapport building, right? It's like, you could use like an example, like, man, when I look for cars, if I register on anything, I get bombarded. I really hate that. I don't want that to happen to you trying to look at houses. So use my app, just log in here. You're not going to get bugged. Use my website, log in here, whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's like, this updates every 15 minutes because it's connected to the MLS, whereas, Zillow and Trulia can sometimes take up to 2 days. So if they're really motivated, I don't want a 48 hour, I don't want 48 hours to get in the way of you finding your dream home, right? Because that essentially could happen, right? Like if you consistently search on Zillow, and especially if they called in and they're like, you say, let's look at the house you called in on, for instance. It was under contract, right? But it reflected as active on Zillow. I don't want you to miss a house. So my app updates every 15 minutes, and it will give you the most updated information, and your phone's not going to ring off the hook by other agents. Yeah. So
exactly. One last piece I want to give people is, so you and I talked about new leads, right? Fresh leads, how we approach that. So what about those follow-ups, right? The people that never respond to you, and you're working your leads, you're turning them over, and it's been weeks or months since they actually inquired, or who knows, right? Maybe you're bored today and it's been years, like you're going way back in the stacks to find some leads. So what we do is we just do a very clear introduction. Hi, this is so-and-so with whatever realty. You can do a salutation. How are you today, right? And then you're just going to tell them who they are to you and what action they took and what you want to know, okay? Which is, you inquired on a property on Zillow a long time ago. I just wanted to see if you're planning on buying in the near future, or if you're just window shopping at this point. Or if they're really old, hey, you registered on Zillow to look at a home a long time ago. Did you ever buy anything? Or are you still in the market? That's pretty much it, right? Very simple.
So there's yeah, I love that script. Also, we'll, send out text messages. And this is a great text message that I like to send out. And a lot of people give me crap about it, but they give me crap about it because they don't realize it's an icebreaker. So and it gets a ton of responses, right? Because all people want is to see homes. Like, they don't want to deal with you. Like, I'm sorry, but you might be the best agent in the world, but they don't want to deal with you. They just want the information.
It's like attorneys. Look, it's like lawyers. Sorry, any attorneys out there, who the hell wants to deal with an attorney until you need to be defended or you need to sue somebody? Nobody, right? You don't want to have to deal with them. You're not, they're a person that you deal with when you need them, but then otherwise you're just telling jokes about them at the bar.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so what I like to do is with this text, with leads that haven't been responsive, is I say, I go, hey, it's Nick with Keller Williams Realty. Listen, I want to know if you're around this weekend because I've got a list of open houses that are similar to the homes you've been looking for. Would you like me to text that or email? right? And so they'll usually respond text. And then what you do is, great. It's been a while since we spoke. I just want to make sure that I send you the right homes to go see. Can I call you for 5 minutes? They usually say yes or give you a time to call. When you get them on the phone, you get the information, then you go, you're looking on the computer, ticky, 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 right? I just noticed, and by the way, be truthful. And you should know this before you call them, by the way. By the way, there's 3 open houses in the area that you're looking at in your price range. There's also 2 that aren't open that fit your criteria. Let's do this. Let's meet on Sunday at 1 o'clock at those 2 that aren't open, and then we can go together to the other 3.
Yeah,
that's how you set the appointment. It's not just to send them a list. It's not to send them off to meet a new agent. It's to break the ice, to get the conversation going again, and leverage that to get in front of them.
Yeah, that's excellent, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it has such a huge response. That text has a huge response rate.
That's great. Can you say it again?
Yeah. Hey, it's Nick with Keller Williams. Just wanted to check in with you. I'm wondering if you're around this weekend because there might be some open houses that meet your search criteria. Can I send them to you via text or email? Something along those lines, you know?
Great.
So it's an automated text as well in our drip campaign. I think it's like the 8th or 9th one over the course of a couple weeks. But we also do it with old leads that are a month or more old that haven't responded, and we get a big response rate.
That's excellent, Nick. All right, man. Thanks for joining me today for Cash Call, everybody. I know that not only did you get to see our 2 beautiful faces in matching shirts, but hopefully you got some great tips from this stuff that we
and
Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And Brian Curtis, I just heard he was fired from Cash Call, so I'm the new co-host. Oh, man, that stinks, Brian.
Nick Baldwin's our new co-host, everybody. That's what we wanted to let you know.
All right, awesome.
All right.
See you, buddy.
All right. Have a great day, man. Thanks.
Thanks.